All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of 23 Personnel Podcast. This is your instant reaction. Tech Tech dropping 20 to 13 on the road at West Virginia. Michael, what's up, man?
Goodness gracious, that was brutal.
Yeah.
At least the first half ended at some point, and the second half was somewhat better.
The fourth quarter, most of the fourth quarter was better. Third quarter was just atrocious. It's the worst.
Just complete nastiness the entire quarter. And this defense, as great as they were, I tweeted this, and I don't know if I tweeted it, but I texted it and sent it out and everything. They simultaneously kept both teams in the game somehow. It was really impressive. As good as they played, they just had some really costly penalties at just the perfectly wrong moments.
You had 4 penalties on third down that gave West Virginia first downs. 2 of those drives ended in touchdowns.
Yeah, and I think the other was a field goal. Aided in all their scoring drives, I believe. But
if not all 3 of them at least.
But yeah, if you hold someone to 20 on the road, your offense should be able to pick up the pieces.
256 total yards.
And Nathan's chiming in here in the YouTube chat. 2 of 18 on third down. I don't think they converted a third down to the third quarter.
Yeah, we'll get to the offenses. I do want to start with the defense, though, Michael. That's a good place to start. You gave up 99 passing yards. You held, Nico Markell to 12 of 21 passing, 78 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. That touchdown was frustrating because, it came right after you had scored your first touchdown. Your defense did not play very well in that drive. That was the drive that was one of the drives that were aided by a defensive penalty. And they were all the right call, right? Like, it wasn't like, oh, the ref screwed us or anything like that. No, these were just bad moments for the defense.
Yeah.
Baskerville got lost in coverage 2 plays in a row. Love to see that. One where he got called for pass interference. One, he couldn't figure out who he was supposed to cover, and the tight end just walks just untouched, unencumbered by anybody into the end zone. On the flip side, to your point about keeping you in the game, you forced 2 turnovers, 2 interceptions. You're +2 on turnovers if you don't count fourth down. Because I don't have those numbers pulled up just yet, but you held their ground game to 157 yards, which sounds like a lot, but on 42 carries, 3.7 yards per carry. I said this in the preview, man. If you can hold them to 3.5 yards per carry, I'll take that. 3.7 is not that bad. They ran the ball a bunch, and there were times when you couldn't stop them. It was more like you couldn't tackle. There were a few plays where they blocked, opened up holes, but it was like there were just as many times when you had the guy dead to rights and he broke a tackle, or just kept his balance and just kept going. But man, you give up 256 yards, total yards. Hold them to 3 of 13 on third downs. You feel like you should win that game.
Yes. You look at the
especially
stats,
when
2 interceptions, and we were hoping for that. West Virginia came into this game with 0 interceptions on the season. They're starting a redshirt quarterback in his first starting appearance. It just seemed like a 100% possibility that there was going to be at least an interception in this game, and this defense comes up with 2 of them. Dunlap again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blanking on who got the second one, but
I think it was Roberts.
Oh, okay. Who has been awesome at linebacker, but then the offense just couldn't do anything with it. So I wasn't completely anticipating, but to see this defense pitch, not a shutout, but aside from 3 or 4 bad third down penalties that, as you mentioned, were correctly called, really played a heck of a game. And I don't
You had
want to,
n-
had 2 sacks. Let's see, was it 2 sacks? Just the one. Just the one. Hutchings had that sack early on and then wasn't able to get back there. They weren't credited with any quarterback hurries. That's still a problem on our end. That's
Mhm.
something we've talked about, not getting pressure to the quarterback. Even this young guy, maybe that was part of the plan. Maybe they thought he'll uh, have some error prone decisions of his own, but some of that non pressure allowed him to get at least 3 runs of 15 yards or more. Um, I'm not I'm not sure if that's entirely accurate either, but I just remember 3 that particularly gashed Tech.
Yeah, well, you had 7 penalties on defense for 81 yards. You had a 3rd and 9 uh, where they completed the pass for 3 yards, but you had a defensive holding, like it didn't even affect the play at all. But they get the first down. You had a pass interference there in the second quarter. Um, you got a defensive holding. Um, so I was holding. This is on a kickoff return.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That was an awesome kickoff return too, but it was at the end of the
59
second
yards.
quarter.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Tech had no momentum. I don't know if it would have come into anything or not, but it really did hurt any possibility of maybe even getting a field goal attempt heading into halftime.
Yeah. Looks like the same drive, man. You had two, a 3rd and 5. You had a holding. 4th and 3. You had a holding. Um, 1st and 10. You had a tackle for no gain on the quarterback, but that was a face mask that you gave him a first down on. And then 3rd and 5 pass interference. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those penalties were on 3rd down or later that resulted in a first down.
Yeah, and that face mask was, yeah, you've got to call that, but Hutchings let go as quick as he could, so I
Yeah.
don't hold any ill will or anything toward that. Was kind of a bang bang play. I don't think that was intentional or something that he was trying to do. But we got a couple more comments in YouTube.
O line is so bad.
Yeah, our O line is so bad. There was 2 so's in there from Cross Timbers, and he also went on to say Kitley and Hamby should fly home on commercial tonight. Um, Nathan saying he wouldn't be mad if Kitley was left in Morgantown.
So let's talk about the offense then. Obviously, you've got Baron Morton for the majority of the game. Shutt goes down. I don't know how severe that leg injury is, but if you're carted off the field in the cast, I would expect you're going to see Morton starting quarterback for a while.
I have some insight on that possible injury, and hats off to Shuck because that is one tough dude. There's a good chance he fractured it before the play before, and then he ultimately broke it on the second. But Dr. Aceman, my physical therapy friend, had some insight on that, and he thinks that it could be a fibula injury because if it was a tibia injury, he wouldn't have been able to stand on it at all. And if it is fibula, this is the engineer and me talking doctor stuff, he could possibly return at the end of the season. So we'll see how accurate his armchair assessment was. It's probably more accurate than my armchair assessment of the football team.
Well, here's the problem with that kind of, so if it's a broken bone, you expect probably 6 weeks. This was game 4, so you get to game probably 9 with the bye week. So he's back for the last 3 games of the regular season, or his bone would be cleared last 3 games, but he's sitting out 6 weeks. I don't know. You're probably going to see Morton the rest of the way, which I think what a lot of people wanted to see, not this way,
Not
right? Like we never wish Shuck to go down and be injured. And you certainly thought, if we're going to get Morton, that it was going to come out and, he was going to be 13 of 37 with a 35% completion percentage. I mean, that I don't know. It's hard, man. Because like I want to blame somebody. I think that's everybody's kind of what we wanted to do. We want to look somewhere and like, well, we wanted Morton and we got him, but he sucked. So was it Morton? Was it Gitley? Was it the weather? I mean, obviously once the rain kind of let up a little bit in the fourth quarter, the offenses both sides got moving a little bit. I mean, there were so many drop passes.
Yeah.
There were passes that were close, like
missed throws too. Some really bad throws.
Yeah, I guess all three quarterbacks had good shots, had wide open receivers that just blew the throw. Then you had close throws that were dropped. And you just had some, it was bad all the way around, really. It wasn't like, this was just, he was late on a read or whatever, man. So I mean, it's an instant reaction, right? Like let's overreact here, but man, like your offense looks as bad as it does through the air. You got a second year coordinator, got great quarterbacks that you do in there, and they look like this. I mean, we thought the West Virginia pass defense could be had coming into the game. That was not their strongest. Like they were better against the run. You had a halfway decent run game today. 160 net yards, 4.2 yards per carry. I mean, it felt like you gave it to Brooks and he was just able to do whatever. He averaged 6 yards per carry on the day.
And that's on 25 carries, not like he just had 10 handoffs that he really broke out on. The man put in some work and got 6 yards per carry.
With a long of 27. So it's not like he had a big, 80 yarder in the red, just, dink and dunk. But Chuck had 4 carries. Martinez had 1. Morton had 8. So like no other running back carried the ball. Valdez got 1 carry, but it was negated by a defensive penalty that, while it was the same yardage, they got to preserve it down. So he lost his 1 carry on the day. But man, this offense is rough, man.
It is. Going into halftime, I took a snapshot of where we were, and I'll just read the whole drive summary real quick. But at halftime, our average third down distance was 3rd and 10 and a half. That's how poorly we were at moving the ball on 1st and 2nd down. And I think I said it already, but Tech didn't have a first down. No, they had 2 first downs in the first half, I think. But yeah, drive summary of the game: punt, field goal, punt, downs, half, punt, downs, punt, touchdown, field goal, downs. Brutal.
You were 3 of 13 through the air the first half. You completed 3 passes.
Yeah.
So I mean, on the plus side, you got better throughout the game. You had ran the ball 10 times for 3.9 yards per carry in the first half. Second half, you ran for 28 more times for 4.3 yards per carry. 56 total yards in the first half, 265 in the second. Your defense got better, 171 total yards in the first half, gave up only 85 in the second half. It felt like most of that came on that one drive where they scored. But man, your offense has to be better than this, man. Like you're +2 in the turnovers. Obviously the defensive penalties were backbreakers, but 13 points is just, it's bad. It's bad.
And you had, let me see. Okay, I'm not going to count the drive right before halftime, but out of 13 drives, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that were 6 plays or less, and they resulted in a punt or turnover on downs. There was that 1 field goal. It was a 6-play drive. Just brutal. No sustainability, nothing. And then, by the time Brooks can only do so much. He can only do so much, but I still feel like there were times he could have done more. There were not his fault. I'm saying there are times he could have been given the ball more, even though he carried it 25 times today. I think he caught a couple too. Just one. I think that was on Shuck's either final drive or the drive before it. Let's see. Got some more. Got some more YouTube comments. We got some Fire Kitleys in here. Got some Mahomes would have sucked behind this O line. Maitland's going on to say, I'm starting to think last year was fool's gold. McGuire looks like Kingsbury in his second season. I've seen that comparison made quite a bit today. And so far, fairly accurate. There's a lot of football left to be played, but go 8-5 in your first season with the bowl game. In hindsight, we should have seen the Kingsbury decline, but we refused to believe it. When you rattle off 7-0 and then you lose 5 in a row, we should have gone, okay, hang on. Maybe the bowl game was a fluke.
If that's true,
adjusted into the second season, but
if that's true, what was the what's the thing that should have said this was going to be a bad year last year? Was it the fourth down success? Like we can't sustain that. Like we won all those games because of fourth down
games, the one possession games too, because that was crazy. That was crazy to have that kind of record in one possession games. And then
now you're 0-3 this year.
Yeah,
0-3 in one possession games.
You could point to last year going, well, they did that with 3 different starting quarterbacks, and wait till they have some starting quarterbacks for a full season. And Tech hasn't had that, and going on 8 years now, I don't know.
It won't be this year.
I am not making light of Shuck going down. That's awful, and it hurts to watch, and just can't imagine how he feels. But that is another quarterback that has not been able to complete his season. Another starting quarterback, I should say. I mean, I don't know. Kitley sure seems to run through him. I mean,
he didn't at Western Kentucky. He kept Bailey Zappi on his feet for 3 years in 2 different places.
Yeah. But yeah, he got all 3 of them hurt. I'm not saying it's him, but all 3 of them did get hurt last year.
Yep. So this is sad to think about. Texas Tech is 1-3 this year with a home win versus an FCS team.
Yes.
That's it.
And that is it. And since you kind of went there, I'm going to do a quick Big 12 roundup because there's still a lot of games going on. Not many are final. Oklahoma State has the ball and is down 27-34.
They suck so bad.
In Ames.
And I'm pissed that we don't get to play either one of those teams.
But both of them put up so many more points than Tech did today.
Iowa State, who doesn't have an offense, 34 points.
Yeah.
Sam Houston with the lead at Houston. That's fun.
That's right. Oklahoma squeaked it out against Cincinnati, 20-6.
Kansas pulled away late.
Yeah. Kansas. That's what I was getting at. Tech has to go to Lawrence. I mean, we came into this thinking, oh, you know what? This stretch of the schedule, West Virginia, Baylor. I forget who Tech plays after. Oh, Kansas State. Good gosh. We got to play Kansas State. But then I think we were throwing in some Kansas in there and stuff. But I know you have been pretty high on the Jayhawks all season. So you've never overlooked them. But I think some of the fan base has. And they took care of BYU 38-27 at home today. TCU whooped up on SMU 34-17. Nothing too surprising there. And then yet to kick off is Texas at Baylor at 6:30 and UCF at K-State at 7. And K-State has a lot of guys injured. But yeah, this Big 12 is whether it's down or not, it's not looking good for Texas Tech right now.
If this is what you're going to see, you're going to win one more game. You will go 2-10 because you
There's no
suck
way.
that bad.
The
You're going to
offense
beat the hell out of Houston next week. And everybody's like, oh, I knew it. Hooray. Let's slop on everybody's knob. And then you get your ass kicked for 9 more weeks. Like, get ready for Baylor to run it in dry 2 weeks after that, because that's what the fuck they're going to do.
Yeah,
all right.
It's gonna, if
and that's
this same
Baylor.
team shows
Baylor
up-
sucks ass. They will kick your ass in 2 weeks. And then Kansas State with nobody. BYU on the road is going to embarrass you. TCU is going to keep figuring things out. Kansas, I mean, we used to be embarrassed by losing to Kansas. It won't be so bad this year. They're going to be halfway decent. UCF, especially if they can get John Reese Plumlee back. Texas is going to be their Super Bowl, but they may hang a hunter on you just because.
There's just
So I'm
not
looking
a lot
forward
of
to that.
positives. There's not a lot of positives right now with this offense. Because
I'm looking forward to going 2-10 with a win versus a FCS team at home. Exact opposite of what I wanted, because I thought it was going to be a great team this year. I thought you were going to go to 10-2, but the team that you've seen 4 weeks now, that ain't it. You just lost to a team that was picked to finish dead last
in an empty stadium on a really nice day, aside from just a little bit of moisture,
with the quarterback we all wanted to be the starter.
Well, Spencer, all right, here we go. Let me get my. Well, he's going to have the QB1 reps this week. That's going to change everything, and they'll come out guns a-blazing versus Houston.
No, and you'll win. You'll probably look good doing it. Like unless you get a Herculean effort from Donovan Smith playing his old team,
which you could. I mean, the kid's really talented. I don't know if he will. Yeah, I mean, we saw what he did against Houston in that same stadium.
Surely you can't go 0-for in 1-score games all season, though, right? I mean, some of these 1-score games.
The universe is correcting itself, possibly. So yeah, Houston. I mean, you may be dead on. Tech may get it right the ship, put on a show versus Houston, go to Baylor, lose by a touchdown. Everyone will be upset, but they'll go, well, they played them close.
Joey can't beat his old team.
Yeah. And then come home on homecoming, and Kansas State, if they're healthy, could take it to them. This team I have no faith in, honestly. None.
No.
I mean, to
yet.
see this offensive performance, Lord Almighty, it was bad. I want to go back and see, what historically, how bad it was. Because it's got to be up there. To come up with 3 points and go 3 and out for like 4 of your first 5 drives. Lose your starting quarterback. Even when you're running the ball, you still can't move the chains. Everything going wrong. I can't think of an example in recent memory, at least since we've been doing this podcast, where I saw a half of football that embarrassing.
You ran 22 plays in the first half, which is...
That's all?
Could have been a half. Could have been a quarter.
Almost a full quarter without completing a pass.
Let's see. Just where was it? Comparison, quarter half. You had 8 minutes time of possession in the first half.
Oh, I just saw a maddening tweet. Max Olson tweeted out, "That's a big one for West Virginia. They've now won their last 7 Big 12 games that were decided by 1-score margins." So the universe has shifted to them. But I remember seeing that last
We
year.
got to
I think it was-
preserve Neil Brown's job, because the University of West Virginia University can't afford to pay him to not coach.
No.
Their athletic program is down that bad. They literally can't fire him. They can't afford to pay him to go away and pay someone else. Yeah, so there's this comment on the YouTube stream from Cross Timbers. It kills me that the kickers are out there after that last field goal grab ass and laughing it up for making a gimme field goal with the team still being down. And that's coached. Yeah, it was a weird look that they were celebrating that to get you within a touchdown. But the whole thing is embarrassing, man. It's not just the kickers. It wasn't just. I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. I was a little bit better off until I looked at the schedules. Like, this is not going to go well.
No, I think it's going to go. I mean, everybody prepare yourselves. It's going to be a rough haul. Way even worse than I thought. And I'm usually pretty pessimistic. I've been a fan of this team long enough to kind of know where to draw the line. But today gave me zero faith. This team can't win on the road. This offense cannot travel until they show me differently.
I mean, yeah. Well, I don't have anything else. I'm fed up.
I am too. I got other stuff I'd rather do. I'd rather go eat dinner. That sounds a lot better.
All right. Thanks for hanging with us on the 23 Personnel podcast. This is your instant reaction. Texas Tech losing on the road 20-13 to West Virginia. Run it back next week for the Houston preview on Tuesday. Instant reaction next week some point. For Michael, I'm Spencer. I'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at PuntSuck, and Michael at Michael_LBK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.